Hello, everyone. Before we get started on this week's principle, I just want to say thank you to everybody for helping us get to this point. Super impressed with the level of activity and engagement we've had to this point. If you recall, when we started, we talked about how do we make these behaviors and principles routine. And studies will tell you that if you practice something for 12 weeks, it typically becomes a habit and will stick with you. And we're right at that point. And so the fact that we've had just this week, 3 or 4 or 5 people, I don't remember the number, hit the bronze level tells me that we're at that point where it is routine for us. It's become habit. So anyway, thank you for that. I think it's been super impressive. So let's keep up that discipline and focus. Number 12 principle is be a fanatic about response time. Respond to questions and concerns quickly, whether it's in person, on the phone, or by email. This includes simply acknowledging that we got the question and we're on it, as well as keeping those involved continuously updated on the status of outstanding issues. Keep internal and external customers in the loop constantly. Um, you break this down. The first piece talks about just simply acknowledging somebody's questions or concerns. And I will tell you this goes farther than anything else you can do as far as just keeping customers happy, keeping their frustrations in check, keeping questions to a minimum. I think about it in the teller line. If they're super busy, crazy, chaotic, and there's a line of people, just a simple head nod, eye contact with the people in line, or go as far as saying, "Yeah, I will be with you in just a minute." Those little things will really keep people's frustrations in check. And really, what you're saying to them is, "I care enough to acknowledge you." And that's hard to find in today's world. We all experience that. So just that simple acknowledgement will keep situations and scenarios, in a very comfortable spot. So um, often I get questions like, what's an appropriate response time for this? And I say it really depends on the situation. If you're in the middle of a loan closing and a question arises, that likely needs an immediate response, right? So I think we all get that. But if it's just a general, somebody left you a message, get back to me when you can. My rule on that is by the end of the day is best. And if you can't, for some reason, get back to somebody by the end of the day, then no later than 24 hours. So if somebody left a message for me at noon today, I would get back to them today. And if I couldn't for whatever reason, no later than noon tomorrow. So that's my general rule on that. The other piece of this talks about keeping people in the loop. And again, this is something that will help us establish a reputation with customers and in the community, likely more than anything else we can do. Again, it's just a level of communication, a level of care that people really crave today. And so when you get it, it maybe goes unnoticed, but when you don't get that, or if you're not being kept in the loop and you're constantly wondering, is my problem being dealt with, my question being dealt with? That feels horrible, and we've all experienced that. And so we want to be the opposite end of that. I'll give you an example. This week, our attorney was filing applications for Amory with the Federal Reserve Bank, and she said, "I will give you an email when I send it. I will then send you another email when they acknowledge receipt, and assign a case manager." And I thought, that's probably overboard for me, but great. And she did. Sure enough, Wednesday she sent the applications in, sent me an email, said they've been sent. Thursday, I got another email that said Federal Reserve acknowledged receipt, and here's your case manager. And so it's just a peace of mind for me, something I don't have to follow up on. Says a lot about that company and their reputation. And that's where we want to get to, right? So felt really good, just that keeping me in the loop of what she was doing, not necessary, but it felt really good for me. Another thing I think about here quickly is, this dovetails really nicely with a couple other principles we've already dealt with, which was get clear on expectations and deliver legendary service. And we want to, we all want to do business with businesses that provide great service, right? And I will tell you, this issue of response time is one of the best things you can do. I'm sure you've all called DirecTV or Dish and sat on the phone for an hour. That feels horrible, and you get out of that call and say, I don't want to do business with this company. That's not who we want to be, right? You want to be on the other end of this where people rave about your service, your response time, and that is who we want to be. And it's especially true in, I think, in smaller communities where there's not as much competition from businesses. You can get away sometimes with a little less service. It's not the right thing to do, obviously, but it happens. And so when we can get this right, it really does separate us from other banks and really other companies in our area. So this one takes more practice than last week was Make a Difference. That one we do really well at. I think being a fanatic about response time is a little tougher and requires a greater level of focus and discipline. Thanks and have a good week.